Hello everyone. Before we get started on the meat of the video, the core of the matter, I just want to explain sort of how I got where I am right now, um, and what the current situation is. Um, 2.5 years ago, I sold everything I owned, and I quit my job, and I used that money that I had saved and from the things that I had sold to stream every day, almost every day. I think I missed 2 days because I was incredibly sick and 3 days because my graphics card failed. But aside from that, I streamed every single day, and I made the core layout, and I worked on the staircase, and I basically just tried to contribute to StarCraft in any way that I could, full time for a year. That was the plan, which is what I did. Um, Unfortunately, the streaming, I never really got to a point just streaming where I could make money and continue on doing what I was doing at the time. So I started switching over to YouTube at that point in time and looking for ways to make money. I did some casting and managed some social media, things like that, but it wasn't really enough. And I ran a fundraiser in January-ish to see if there was demand for me to continue doing what I did. And there was a fair amount of it. There was a lot of generosity that happened. That was amazing, and because of that, I was able to survive for a few months longer. I said that, all right, I will, my bills are low. I've gotten rid of my phone. I've gotten rid of everything that I don't need. And that happened for the whole year. So I don't need that much money to survive. I'll use whatever money gets raised in that fundraiser to do more months, basically, of what I was doing. And then when the money ran out, I would go and get a real job and be a real human and all that. And in that time, in those few months, I managed to get a deal with Yegwin, who was a caster, a Polish caster, who did a lot of Polish casting in Polish, and he was moving on to doing in English, and so he wanted a co-caster who spoke English, and I said, hey, I'll do it, and we did it together, and it was really cool. For a while, we were hitting around 2,000 views, concurrent viewers, and it was like pretty strong, but then there was this scramble around the time of Heart of the Swarm release for gaps in the schedule where we could stream. We weren't competing against more established streams that we couldn't compete against. We went from about 2,000 views, concurrent viewers, to around 200. So it was like, well, I think this is done. It's not really going to work anymore. And that project was being funded by a couple of investors. And they said, well, this isn't working anymore. You can't, it's not going to work. And Yegwin and I talked to each other, and we said, well, we got to figure out a way to keep going, if we can. And the idea was put forth that we would do YouTube tutorials. We would create a channel of YouTube tutorials where the content was professional and high level, well researched and accurate, and very much condensed. So there was no, hi, how are you, blah, 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 etc., for the first minute or 8 minutes of the video before the actual meat of the video was there. Just get the people to the content they want to see as efficiently as possible without sacrificing quality, and that's it. That was the whole concept for the channel, and that channel became Tutorial Central SC2. So the investor would continue giving money to Yegwin, and then Yegwin would forward that money then to me so that I could buy groceries and pay rent and continue to produce these videos full time. And it was good. It was good. The viewer count started low, and it exponentially grew up, and it was this nice curve. And sometime around this past summer, 2014, it sort of started leveling out around 300,000 views, and it was sort of slowly climbing, and the investor was okay with that. It was like, okay, as long as, we knew this was coming, it wasn't going to be exponential forever, right? There was going to be a point where it sort of plateaus, but as long as we're still growing, I'm happy. I'll continue to support this project, basically, which means, support me making videos on Tutorial Central, and as long as we keep getting views and all that kind of stuff. And in September, I was living in California, and I moved back to Rhode Island for personal reasons, and that kind of put me out of commission for 2 weeks of moving and getting everything figured out. I was just this past September. So for those 2 weeks, I was moving, I was buying new stuff, I was setting up this place that I'm in right now, and figuring everything out before I could get the internet running, get the computer shipped over here, set up, all that stuff. And so September, I saved some videos. I've released 2 videos in the first 2 weeks of September, but that wasn't very good because that's lower than what we're used to, so the consistency got lost there. The same thing happened in October because I was plagued with a stupid number of technical difficulties all at the same time. I had to replace monitor, I had to replace hard drive, the whole computer had to be taken apart and put back together because there was a faulty connection somewhere. And it was just a giant mess for another 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks of October was the same thing, and it was the inconsistency. And then in November, I went to BlizzCon, which was amazing and awesome and wonderful. And as a result of going to BlizzCon, I wasn't able to make videos during that time at the professional level. I made some little vlog updates, but that's not for Tutorial Central. That's for YouTube / JaKaTaKtv. That's this channel, right? That's what this channel is for. As a result, our views went from around 30,000 and growing to 150,000. So we took a lot of big hits, and it would just sort of kept notching down. So the investor at this point is not confident in our long-term success because of the sort of loss in views for the past 3 months, and he will be cutting the funding to the Tutorial Central SC2 project December 31st, unless we can get at least half of the cost of running the whole thing, which is $800 per month. And we make about, at the end of the day, about $1 per 1,000 views, which is quite low, but that's the current situation. We're trying to amend that. So we need to get up to 800,000 views a month, or find ways, sponsorships, things like that we can use to support the channel and views together to sum up to 800 a month. And if we get to that, he has said that he will fund the rest of the costs to continue basically me making content full-time for Tutorial Central. And I also use the time that I'm not making Tutorial Central videos to do other projects like the Sandbox and the Core and little side YouTube channels and different stuff like that, the different stuff that I do. We're working on a potential network deal that sounds super good to be true, that gets us 7 to 13 CPM, so $7 to $13 per 1,000 views. If this were to work out, then we're fine. But it's one of those, like, there's no way, right? There's no way it's actually going to happen. This is our Hail Mary pass at the end of the game because we need a touchdown for you American football fans. That's what this is, that's what that is anyway. I don't think it's going to work out. If it does, great, but I'm absolutely in no way counting on it to get $7 per 1,000 views out of this deal. It's kind of insane. So, as a result, because the task seems impossible, and don't think I'm not going to try, I'm absolutely going to continue making videos and doing whatever I can until the 31st. But being realistic, I have to be preparing for the future, so I will be switching to part-time content creation rather than full-time content creation on December 31st, unless we happen to get somehow to 800,000 views a month. And that's not a terrible thing. Like, most people who do content creation do it part-time. They mostly have real jobs, and then in their spare time they do all this content creation stuff. Almost everyone does that. I have been incredibly lucky, and I'm like ridiculously grateful that I've had the opportunity to do what I have done for the past 2.5 years. And that's not to say that everything was handed to me and I didn't work hard. Like, I do 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, StarCraft, sometimes more. That's just what I've been doing for the past 2.5 years, and I love it, and it's great, and I don't mind. Like, people will say, what do you mean you work 12 hours a day? That's stupid. What do you you're going to burn out, and things like that. And it's like, no, I'm not. This is awesome. I could do this forever. But it's sort of, yeah, it sort of is what it is. And the idea is, maybe it was just the consistency thing. Like, it's sort of, why did this fail? Why did this not continue to grow? I think it's mostly the consistency thing of just, having these unfortunate circumstances hit right in a row month after month of not having the consistency. But also, I mean, to some extent, it may be that our target audience is really, really small. We only do StarCraft 2 content. That's it. So the only content that that people will watch are StarCraft 2 players, which is a relatively small group of people. We don't do League of Legends. We don't do Dota 2. We don't do Hearthstone or any of those other games. We don't do CS:GO. So as a result, we may have sort of shot ourselves in the foot by going for this like only StarCraft 2 method, only StarCraft 2 channel, which may have been a mistake. But it exists. I'd like to be a little bit more fluid with this presentation, but I'm not going to write an entire script for it. I'm just going to talk to you. But I am going to try to go full-time. So my plan going forward is Tutorial Central as we know it, investor paying the Yegwin paying me, is going to end likely December 31st. So that means for me that I need to find a job as quickly as possible that can pay my rent and my grocery bill and my internet bill, so I can keep doing that. That's basically it. Just rent, groceries, internet bill. That's all. Oh, and school loans. God, man. In any case, so as long as I'll get a job that I can do that I can pay all that, and I'll spend the rest of my time pushing the content, continuing to do what I do, but just for less time per day. And then I'm going to try and branch out to other games, learn about other games, make content about other games as well. And yeah, and that's kind of my main plan. Hopefully what I can do is create a big enough sort of viewership, subscribership, that it can sustain me to go back to being full-time eventually. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to work hard, but I'm very much accepted or sort of okay with the idea that I'm just going to be a part-time content creator. I will put my spare time into the project because it's what I love. It will become my hobby and not my job. And that has its own advantages, there's less stress involved. I don't have to be worried about making things that people will watch. I can just make the things that I want to make that I think will be good for the StarCraft 2 community. That sort of tension is gone. The idea that any moment in time I should be working, but I'm not. Basically, that pressure is gone. I have to deal with the frustration of not being my own boss anymore, and managers making decisions that I disagree with because I'm a different human than them, and I'm not going to disagree with whatever they do. And there's sort of that trade-off between working for someone and working for yourself, and I think that I'm okay with that. There's going to be loss and gain on either side. But that's the plan. I want to be clear that this is not a video of me begging for people to give me their money. I've had, like, the StarCraft 2 community has been ridiculously, incredibly generous to me specifically. If the fundraising hadn't gone as well as it did in January after I ran out of money for my first year, there would be no Tutorial Central. I would have moved on from there. There would have been no way for me to continue. If, I wouldn't have been able to go to BlizzCon without all of you. I wouldn't have been able to fix my computer without all of you. I wouldn't be here recording this video without you. And I don't know how to express the amount of gratitude that I have for that. I don't. So I'm not going to waste your time blabbering on about it. I just don't know how to say it. Thank you. What I'm going to do is, the more support that I get on Patreon and things like that, the less I'm going to work at my other job. So hopefully I can just slowly transition over into more and more and more StarCraft and go from being part-time to full-time. That's my plan. So I've always adapted the business model of I provide what I provide to you all for free. And if you want to support me, I provide avenues for you to do so. And if you don't, there's no obligation for you to do so. And that's it. You get the product first, then you decide if and how much you want to support me for making that product. The product being YouTube videos, the core, the staircase, the cheese case, all these types of things. So if you want to do that, I've made it hopefully as straightforward as possible. Every way you can support me is JaKaTaKSC2. So patreon.com/JaKaTaKSC2, youtube.com/JaKaTaKSC2, Facebook, JaKaTaKSC2, Twitter, JaKaTaKSC2, Twitch, JaKaTaKSC2, Gmail. So if you want to do a one-time donation to help me out, you can donate to JaKaTaKSC2@gmail.com. If you have a question for me and you want me to help you with something, you can just send me an email, JaKaTaKSC2@gmail.com. The other thing that I want to try to do, in addition to like doing what I already do and receiving whatever sort of support that is out there for like the amount of demand there is for what I do, is send me an email and let me know if there's something that I can do for you. If you want me to build you a custom version of the core, if you want me to, if you have a job for me, if you want me to, if you want to pay me $10 to do some video editing for you, or whatever it might be, casting, mechanical analysis of your play, coaching, whatever it might be. If you have things that I can help you with and you can compensate me for, that will help me become, one step closer to going back to being a full-time content producer, full-time StarCraft 2 person, or I guess at this point a full esports person. Then let me know. Send me an email. We can work something out that can be mutually beneficial for the both of us. That being said, we've got 10 more days or so in November, and we've got a full month of December. I will not be stopping. Pretty much all of my time now is spent looking for a job and making videos. That's what I'm going to be doing for the next month and a third. So don't worry, the videos will keep coming out on Tutorial Central SC2 in addition to JaKaTaK SC2 on YouTube, and I'll continue tweeting and doing all that kind of stuff. When January comes around, I will have less time to do that, but I will still be doing it. And I'm just going to have a lot of fun and really enjoy and appreciate the next month or so that I have left, and embrace the future, the transition of whatever this is. And I'm sure that there are tons of advantages to being a part-time content creator versus a full-time creator that I haven't thought of yet, and I'm very interested in and looking forward to the transition overall. So again, thank you. The past 2.5 years of my life has been unthinkable, like amazing. I talked to Artosis about the economy changes to Legacy of the Void, and he took me seriously. Like, that's huge. I've been listening to Artosis make videos and stuff like that was so like a huge moment to me. It was like, you know, the people, so much support on Reddit, on Team Liquid, on YouTube, saying, hey, you're doing a great job, you know, thanks. I learned a lot. Like, I got into StarCraft because you did this, you know, because of this video, or you helped me get from bronze to gold league. Thanks. Like, it's been amazing. And I don't know how to end this video. But here's to 41 days of a full-time StarCraft 2, and to whatever is going to be in the future. Thanks, and hopefully I will be seeing you.